am Groot.
Uh-huh.
I'm Groot.
No! That's a really bad sign.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Joel Michalec Show. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for subscribing. And if you're new to the podcast, you're just now listening, you can stop over at joelmichalec.com. That's where you can get the news. You can subscribe to your favorite service with your favorite player. And you can email us and check out what's going on in the universe. And you can also do so over at Facebook at JM Talk or on Twitter at WQYB Radio. Tonight on the program, we are joined by a very special guest in the studio. Say hello again to Sharon.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Hi to you.
Hi. How you doing?
Good. And I think later on, maybe we're joined by the world's most famous schnauzer, who is
Molly.
right now guarding the outside of the studio, but that's okay. We're glad Sharon has returned.
All those people beating down the door trying to get in to see me.
I know. I think if you were to look at Molly's resume, I think it would say that she has successfully protected us today from 2 trash bags, a coffee cup, 4 leaves, the mailman, and a UPS guy.
Wow.
Yeah,
she's been busy.
It's a very busy security service going on there. That's what,
wow.
Miniature Schnauzer Patrol. So anyway,
MSP.
right. And I have a badge for it, by the way. I do.
Yay.
I just have to add the acronym there. So
can you see Molly walking around flashing her badge?
I could.
MSP.
I could. Well, for
on duty,
flashing her authority. She does have attitude.
Yeah.
And if you have attitude, then that's half the job is done right there.
Exactly.
And she has plenty of that.
Exactly.
So, anyway, welcome to the broadcast. Today is Veterans Day. And not tomorrow. A lot of people, banks will be closed, and some people will be off from work because it's to celebrate it. But it's the 11th of November is when it is, and it's funny because I was thinking last season, right around Memorial Day, I was talking about Memorial Day. So this is sort of like a reverse discussion for a quick minute because I remember saying on Memorial Day, not to confuse it with Veterans Day. Memorial Day, we memorialize the armed forces, people who served in the armed forces that have died, given the ultimate sacrifice. And Veterans Day, we just celebrate all the veterans. So now here we are at Veterans Day, and I find myself just saying, let's remember that we celebrate all veterans today, not to confuse it with Memorial Day. But then...
Yes, but my thing is, I don't mean to cut you off there, but...
That's fine.
On Memorial Day, all veterans should be memorialized, not just the dead ones.
You didn't just cut me off. You took right exactly what I was going to say.
Oh.
Because at the same time...
Well, we do that, you and I.
The nice thing is it doesn't matter to me. I'd rather see patriotism all the time. So celebrate everybody on both days, on all patriotic days.
Right.
But, yes, do me a favor, and if you haven't, make sure you thank a veteran today.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people...
If I find out, again, I'm stepping all over you.
That's all right. That's all right.
But if I find out that, someone has served, whether it's in the military, firefighter, police officer, I thank them.
Absolutely.
You know, I will go out of my way to thank them. And if it means, you know, paying for a meal or paying for a cup of coffee, paying for a donut, you know, I'll do it. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have any money. But, I mean, you know,
How are you paying for the donut?
Well, with my good looks. And that's not the case either.
Well, truly. But you're right on the right track. Thank them. And that does include first responders, which is why we do Honor Thy Heroes, which we'll do later on the program. Veterans Day.
Veterans Day.
And a lot of people don't know that it was originally called Armistice Day because on the 11th month and the 11th day in the 11th hour is when the armistice was signed to end the Great War. Later called World War I. Believe me, in 1918 they weren't saying, "Whew, World War I is over."
Come on, World War II.
Right, that came about later, and then it was called the Great War.
Right.
So that's what the Veterans Day was born from, so to speak. But I mean, Armistice Day is still known as Armistice Day, so it was born of that. But then it's its own separate thing. So, there's your little history lesson for today as well.
I thought I was done school.
No. I will keep you busy.
I know you will.
So, yesterday, after 3 of the 5 work days of rain in this area where we're at, it finally cooled down, let's say. Let's call it cooled down. It actually got downright cold. But I was thinking this week, and especially since not too long ago for one of my clients, I posted a thing about the Farmer's Almanac's predictions for the Northeast for winter. And the Farmer's Almanac is pretty funny. People swear that it's the truth. People say it's baloney. I don't know where I sit with it. I mean, to me, I think it's an entertaining magazine. Where do you see it?
Well, I grew up being told that the Farmer's Almanac was something that you live by.
So it was gospel.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to see predictions on the weather, you know, these people that write this book really, you know, put together some really creative predictions based on past, you know, experiences. So I think it's gospel.
Okay, that's what I was saying. So there's the different people have the different views on it, and so of course it's predicting I think it's predicting a pretty bad winter in this area. But here's what I was thinking: if I was to make my own prediction based on recent past, and we look at 2018 in this region all year. After the winter, we had a very wet spring. We had a very wet summer. We just couldn't get things done that we wanted to get done because of rain. It has been wet so far since the end of summer.
And, you know, people think, oh, goodness, it's raining. I can't get this done. I can't get that done. It does more to a person than not being able to get things done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like your mental state. That's
right.
why they say Seattle, because you get so much rain there. You know, it's suicide capital of the world. But, you know, you're because you can't get this done and that done, and you can't, you know,
right.
You get depressed, you know, angry.
Okay.
So
you're right.
That's just my thought on that.
So, circling back to winter.
Okay, yeah. Let's get back to winter.
But my theory is, and Molly has just entered the studio and has taken off with the headphone cable. Thank you very much, Molly. My theory is that with all this constant rain throughout 2018 so far, you have to think to yourself, if it carries on, if it continues the way it has been for the better part of this year so far, as the temperatures drop, then yes, I think we're in for a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Now I couldn't have made that prediction and then wrote an almanac about it months ago or a year ago.
Let's just hope it's snow and not ice.
Oh,
and,
I know.
The snow, although bothersome, is much better in comparison to having ice storms and...
Oh, sure. You literally cannot drive on ice.
No.
So when you have all that, that becomes a problem. I think we are boring, Miss Molly. A big yawn from the peanut gallery.
No.
So
stop yawning, Molly.
I don't know how you out there view the Farmer's Almanac, but in our region, I'm not going to predict we're going to have a lot of snow. Maybe the faucet just shuts off. I don't know. But what I will say is, based on all the moisture we seem to have gotten this year, if the moisture doesn't stop, then I think as the temperatures fall, we could be in trouble as far as a lot of snow this year.
I wonder how many farmers view the Farmer's Almanac or go to the Farmer's Almanac to see. No, that's a serious question.
Well, it was started for them, but you're saying, do they still look at that?
Yeah, do they still follow the Farmer's Almanac as a place to kind of base their information from?
Right, because, in years past, it was put together probably to assist them, but if my interpretation of what you're saying would be, nowadays, farming has become such a business that you almost wonder if the farmers still count on it.
Yeah.
Or do they say, well, I need something I feel is more reliable?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and if you're a farmer and you're listening, let us know if you use the Farmer's Almanac.
Right.
Or if you get more technical and use technology instead of a book.
I bet you I make a soundbite of this show of Sharon saying, I wonder if farmers use the Farmer's Almanac. But it's a perfect soundbite.
Well, I guess it is. I'm not trying to be funny.
You being here is not only just an amazing presence and very good for the show, by the way, but you're creating avenues of marketing for us.
Awesome.
It's just like that.
I am so glad that I could be of use to you in that way by coming on the show.
You sound really good. The spacing's really good. I feel like I'm swallowing my mic. You're chilling.
I am. I am just relaxing.
So yesterday we went and saw the Bohemian Rhapsody movie.
Oh my goodness!
And it was
phenomenal.
Yeah, excellent. It was excellent.
The actor that portrayed Freddie Mercury did a fantastic job.
Yeah, and I had his name in my head. I can't think of it. But not only that, but as I said, coming home from the theater, everyone that they casted for the band, were great.
Pretty much spot on.
Yeah. Like doppelgangers.
Well, and you and I had a conversation when we left, and you were saying that you learned so much about Queen and
more
specifically Freddie Mercury,
because the story
then
it was a Freddie story.
Yeah, and I knew a lot of this stuff about him, not from back in the day, but doing research, kind of get a feel for what the movie's going to be about. So I did do some research, and some of it is remembering what, transpired at the time.
Right.
But a lot of it is from doing research prior to going to seeing the movie. So.
Well, it was very good. So if you haven't seen it and if you're interested, if you even like the band Queen, I mean, the soundtrack was great. I believe that they did all the singing themselves. And the one thing that I heard before we went, not right before, but leading up to, is I was told by people at work that that they recreated the entire segment from Live Aid spot on, and it was. I mean, it was spot on, even down to all the gesturing that Freddie Mercury made.
Yeah,
with his arms and his facial expressions, and they replicated some of the camera views. I know this because I have Live Aid on VHS. I recorded it all those years ago. But so yes, it was spot on, and I even like clapped to myself in the seat when they got to that point in the movie, because I'm a big Live Aid junkie, and here comes the big scene, the big recreated scene. So that was awesome. That was quite awesome, actually. So a very good movie to see. I couldn't help but feeling, only because someone said earlier this week, I heard somebody say that they don't go to the movies anymore because of all the violence and the mass shootings and stuff going on. So I got to tell you, while we were there, I did have this fleeting thought, like, man, this is, if you think about it, because I wasn't thinking about it the whole time, and then for some reason I thought about it about halfway through the movie, and once you think about it, it is a really upsetting thought. There goes our guard dog going to find out what the noise was.
Someone farted down the street.
So it is an upsetting thought to have, sitting there in a public place where, which we know is becoming much more dangerous. So
yeah, but you can't.
I know that
you can't live your life or not live your life because the potential of something happening.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. I was just mentioning, since we were talking about the movie, that I had that fleeting thought.
Yeah.
So, that's all. But go and see it, or if you have that fleeting thought, more so than I do, or if you do not go to movie set, then when it comes out on streaming and DVD or whatever it is, very much worth getting.
Yeah.
Get it, obtain it, whatever.
I will get it.
Yeah, we will get it. It will
just so we have it.
Yeah, it'll be in our library.
You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though we saw it at the movies. A lot of people, speaking of movies, a lot of people go to the movies to see a movie, which is obviously what you're doing. But we go to a movie and we base whether or not we're going to buy the DVD on how we viewed the movie.
Yeah, and that will definitely be a keeper.
Yeah, if it's something that'll go in our repertoire, then absolutely.
Repertoire? Oh my God. I've never used the word so large on this show.
Oh, sorry, people. Didn't know, couldn't use big words.
You can use all the words. We can go toe to toe on that. So anyway, coming up later on the program, obviously we will have our Wombat of the week, which is a doozy one this time around, and also honor thy heroes. We have that coming up later on in the program. Right now, we're going to skip out of here, take a quick 90-second break, and wet our whistles. Our whistles.
You got that?
I'm gonna wet it.
Okay.
And we'll be back right after this.
So I use my computer every day. I'm not even sure how I get along without it. But I wasn't prepared for a virus. A Trojan, they called it. One night I'm cruising along, and the next night I can't do anything. I was afraid it was going to cost me a fortune. Boy, was I surprised. They had me back up and running the same day I called them. I really like PC Tech Rescue, and you know what? My wallet likes them too.
Are you troubled by computer problems? PC Tech Rescue should be your very next call. Whether the problem is viruses, hardware, software, or any other issue, they can diagnose your problem and have you back up and running fast. With more than 25 years of industry experience, you can be sure you are getting dependable and affordable service. Call today, 484-429-6061 or email us at pctechrescue@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Joel Michalec Show. Thanks for being here. If you're keeping track, I believe it's Season 2, Episode 4, and you can subscribe to the podcast. You can go to joelmichalec.com and hit the subscribe button, and then check out the offerings there. Of course, it's an ongoing work-in-progress list, but you can see if your favorite player is there, and you can subscribe from there. And please do. And like us and share on Facebook at JM Talk. And we're also, I am parked at Twitter at WQYB Radio. So that's the various ways that you can get in touch.
You just sounded like a robot.
Well, sometimes I like to talk like that.
It sounded like you were reading a script and you were reading one word at a time.
Wow. All right.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to critique you on air, but...
That's fine.
Actually, that's what I just did.
Exactly.
Sorry.
So, anyway, that's the business end of it for this segment out of the way. This is interesting. I don't know how many people have seen this. There used to be a show on HBO. I don't remember what the name of the show was, but it was like a reality show filmed at the Bunny Ranch. Do you remember that? Yeah, with all the hookers. It was.
No.
You don't remember?
No. Is this something that you and I need to sit down and talk about?
No. So the owner.
Are you sure?
Yes, the owner, Dennis Hoff.
Okay.
He won the election for the Nevada State Legislature this past Tuesday on Election Day. He won the seat. The owner of the brothel.
Oh.
Here's the problem.
Isn't he dead?
He died.
Right? I read that story. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. How can a dead person be elected?
Yeah. Yeah, he had passed away, and even in death, he had beaten the Democratic opponent Lisa Romanoff. Now, not only that, but here's the thing.
Well, that's not saying much for Lisa Romanoff.
Well, here's the thing. He took 68.2% of the vote, and Romanoff took 31% of the vote. I mean, how bad is the Democratic Party in that area that you're dead and you win the election?
Right.
I mean, that's really the only reason why I brought this, to the table. I just thought it was interesting. Now, when on his first day in this position, is someone going to say, "Hey, you look a little stiff"? Actually, what will really happen is the seat is vacated, and then the commissioners of the county will determine who takes the seat, or if there's going to be another election, or
I would think they would run a special election.
Yeah.
However, the thought is, since she ran opposing him, would she just automatically get the seat?
I thought that, but that is not the case. It's not the case at all. They're gonna decide what they do. In fact, it says they will appoint someone of the same political party, so she cannot get that seat anyway. The Republican Party still won that seat, so it'll be somebody else from the Republican Party that will fill the seat. Just really interesting. It's really interesting.
Yeah, like, that's telling you something about our political atmosphere here in the United States.
Yeah, which we don't. I know I've said before we don't discuss politics, but this story was too good to resist.
No, we're not discussing politics per se.
It was just too good to resist.
Yeah, I mean, wow. So I have something I want to talk about.
Okay. Time's yours.
Yeah. I know that this subject has been beaten to death, okay? And that is driving.
Oh, yes. We beat it to death on the show here, but
okay, no.
I'm okay with this. Bring it on. Another
okay.
perspective.
I feel that I am a good driver. My driving record shows that. Okay? I pay attention. I don't text. I'm not constantly looking at my phone trying to find a good song to play or find out who won the election or whatever the case may be. Where I'm driving down the road, I go slow, swerve over to the, side of the road, swerve back onto the other side of the road, then go fast. Mm-hmm. That driving drives me nuts. I mean, pay attention.
Yeah.
You didn't have these issues before cell phones came out.
Right. I agree. Not to this degree, but that is you're describing what I feel are characteristics of somebody who is looking at something other than the road. There's slow speed, swerve, slow speed, swerve, slow speed.
Right. And not only is it dangerous to, for that person to do that because of the way he's driving, but it's also dangerous because I might get out of my car, walk up to the... No, I wouldn't. I'm just kidding. But seriously, it drives me crazy.
Yep. Agreed.
It drives me absolutely crazy.
And it has been a hot button topic. And of course, and these are I still have not heard the details, and I think this is why. I think because the details of the woman that killed the 3 children and injured the 4th at that bus stop in Indiana, yeah. I think the details are such that she was not paying attention, because how do you sustain that much damage to your car?
Exactly.
Hitting those kids in that bus, and
right.
But what I've noticed a lot in and people talking about and people taking video and pictures, still I see video and pictures coming in of masses of people ignoring the buses.
Right.
But now I'm also seeing people taking pictures and video of the school buses picking up their kids and I've seen it here in the complex. They're stopping in the middle of the road. Now, unfortunately, you have the distracted drivers, but you also have the people that just flat out don't pay attention. And they don't care about stop signs and red lights and yields and things like that.
And what's scary is our bus drivers are doing the same thing.
Yes, they're absolutely right.
They're carrying your children. Mm-hmm. And they're not paying attention, or, their eyes aren't focused on the road. That just drives me crazy.
Yeah. Every walk of life. I mean, it's not just people in personal vehicles. You have bus drivers. You have city bus drivers. Sometimes you wonder what the hell's going on in their head.
Exactly.
And I've always said about the state of Delaware, which is where we're at, they, most states, if not all of them, have the hands-free laws, or you can't be distracted driving and stuff. And in Delaware, one of the things that I've always been outspoken about is that there is a list of people who are exempt from this law: police, firefighters, first responders. And I don't agree with that. Okay, so they might, and it claims that they might have to look at something for their line of business. I don't know. I just think that they should, because then what happens if they cause a problem? That's my thing.
Exactly.
If they cause an accident, what happens then? But I haven't seen much on the news about following up to what these people, like that one week where all those kids were killed at bus stops.
Right.
What were these people doing? I'm sure it had to do with distracted driving.
Yeah. And again, as I said in the beginning of this topic, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is the first time I've been on your show and I've wanted to talk about it.
Oh, that's fine. Almost every week I find some way to have to bring this up again.
Yeah, well,
And-
there's always a story.
Right.
You know, this person, wasn't paying attention and hit kids at a bus stop or hit a bus that was filled with kids. And, it's just sad.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking
It
knowing
is.
that, like we have, grandchildren that get on buses.
Exactly. Exactly.
People out there, you're parents and you have children getting on. And it's, it's strange. One of the roads I take to work, I go down and every morning there's a mother with 2 children.
I know the road you're talking about.
Right. The other day I didn't see the mother there, just the children, no car, no mother. And I thought that was odd because my thought process was I was going to talk about how it's nice to see parents that they're waiting and hopefully they, but then I just thought it was odd. I mean, for the last 2 years that I can remember, every morning, they're sitting there waiting for that bus, which is not a good place because that bus stop, if you can call it that, I mean,
It's actually their driveway.
Is it? I thought that was an
Yeah.
industrial road.
No, there's a house back there.
Yeah, because it's a terrible place for a bus stop. It's right on a bend.
Right.
It's right before a bend or after a
Exactly.
bend, depending on how
Exactly.
you're looking at it.
Yeah.
It's either before or after a bend, so whichever way you're looking at it.
Right.
But
Yeah.
something does have to be done about it. I don't know what that answer is. I wish I did.
Right.
Because sitting here talking about it and wishing and hoping that people would pay attention and somehow all of us talking radio heads, putting the word out there, hoping that somebody does something about it. I really don't know what the answer is. I mean, I think the answer should be pay attention to what the hell you're doing. That's your job. That's your
Right.
number one responsibility when you get behind the wheel of anything.
Exactly. Say
But-
hi, Molly.
But since we can't get that point across this way or any way, that that's your number one priority, and you should know that because somehow you passed the driver's test. Then
Unless they got their driver's license at Kmart.
right. So barring that, I don't know what the answer to that problem is. I don't know any other answer.
Yeah, you got me stumped too.
Because I would say the police need to up their game. There's laws that are supposed to prevent people from driving like that. There are laws that says stop behind. It's all in the books. It's all in the driving manuals in
Yeah,
any
but
state.
you know what?
But when you see police on their phones while they're driving, then that takes it off the table. I don't feel comfortable anymore saying, well, the police should step up their game.
And here's the other thing. You can get your driver's license taken away for driving like that, but that doesn't mean that that person is not going to drive anymore.
Exactly. That's one of the real bad things about society.
Well, yeah.
Is the fact that people just don't care.
They
Isn't that what it
don't.
boils down to?
Yeah.
People
They
just
don't.
don't care. Maybe if we just cared for one another again. We can sit here all day long and talk about the old days when we were growing up and how things were so much different.
Right.
But it would be the same as us sitting here talking about, well, people used to know how to drive too. Who's listening to what we're saying?
Exactly.
Who's reading these news stories and going, wow.
We should do something about this.
Right, or at the minimum, when I first started talking about this distracted driving thing in last year, I was thinking to myself that somehow, if you were the moron that drives like that, and you saw something like that, read something like that, saw it on the news, you would say to yourself, "Geez, I should straighten out." But I don't think that's the case.
Right.
My phone is silenced. Did you bring a ringing phone to the studio?
No, it's in the
behind us?
It's in the living room.
That's a hell of a ringer. Okay. So anyway, what does it take? I mean, I'd love to hear your opinions out there, various ways of getting a hold of us. But would just love to hear your opinions. So you are, you're escaping away.
I am. I'm going to escape.
Okay. Well, it was nice of you to stop by.
Thank you.
Are you taking-
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Are you taking this monster with you?
I will. I'll take a little girl.
All right. So,
All right. Well,
thank you very much.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
I'll be back
All right.
another time.
I'll need your copy.
Oh, yes. Here.
Theater of the mind, people. We're passing copy back and
Yeah,
forth.
right.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Well, thanks.
It was great
Bye-bye.
meeting you again.
High fives all around.
All right.
All right. There she is. The lovely Sharen, ladies and gentlemen, joining the Joel Michalec Show. Quick check on the time. Got a little bit of time left. We have... what do we have coming up? Wombat of the Week coming up after the commercial break, plus the Honor Thy Heroes, which you can be a part of. You can, if you know of a first responder, firefighter, police, even a dispatcher. We've even honored a dispatcher here on the program. We can use those stories because they are not easy to find, which is a shame, isn't it? Isn't it a shame that we cannot find enough stories about the good guys? But you'll find plenty of stories out there when a police officer in the court of public opinion does something wrong. So that's another really big problem with the way the world has become. You know, with all the different news media outlets, I think the actual real news media is becoming beaten down by the court of public opinion. That's what I call it. I know that is a term out there, and I've been saying it to myself a lot lately because that's how I feel. I mean, I cruise Facebook, and there's a lot of times I want to respond to people's posts about different things, and I don't, because I'll be halfway writing this long response, and I'll go, for what? Why even bother? Is really what I say to myself. And that's the court of public opinion. You know, and social media is so bundled down with it. It drives me crazy sometimes. You know, I go on social media for particular reasons, but while I'm on there, I see all the rhetoric. And but if you have a story about these everyday heroes that work among us, that work really hard to protect us from crime, fire, damage, medical, you know, we'd love to have them here because I want to honor them. Every week we want to honor another hero on the program. So all that is coming up. We are like 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving too, ladies and gentlemen. So next week on the program, I'm hoping, I think what I'm going to do this week is on social media, while I'm talking about it, the purpose that I'm on social media primarily is for you, for the program. And I think what I might do during the week this week is try to get some responses out there from social media, people chiming back in with some of the interesting things that they prepare for Thanksgiving. I'm interested to see just how far tradition is changing, or as I have found in the last 15 years or so, not so much that traditions are changing, but traditions are going out the window. I don't see new traditions being formed. I just see the old traditions getting thrown out or changed. And if I'm not explaining myself very well, we're going to make a discussion about it on the podcast next week. And so maybe you'll understand there. But I will put the word out on Facebook to find out, hey, what are you preparing on Thanksgiving? Get some ideas, and then we can shoot them back at you. How's that sound? Sound good? Sounds good to me, too. The website is joelmichalec.com. The Facebook is at JM Talk. And the Twitter is at WQIB Radio. All the various places. Hopefully, you're subscribing to the show, you like the show, you're sharing the show, and you're helping us get it out there. You can do all those things right from the website. Okay, I'm going to take my last break of the show, and I'm coming back right after that.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Broadcasting from a crummy little studio in Baltimore, Maryland. This is Reality One Radio.
You see why we need your donations?
Hello there, my pretties. Welcome back to the Joel Michalec Show. www.joelmichalec.com. That's the website where you can go. I hope you stop there. I hope you subscribe. Click the subscribe button and find out if I'm on your favorite player and your favorite service. And subscribe. And then join me at Facebook by going and looking me up. I'm at JM Talk. Love to have you like the show page, follow us, and share us with your friends. Would love to have that happen. So, you know, we're in, what are we, like, approaching or finishing out, if you will, the second week of November, heading into Thanksgiving in about 12 days, so just slightly under 2 weeks. Or another way you can look at this is we're about 3 months into the Christmas season. So another discussion that I want to have, in the weeks to come is, and this is probably another conversation that I've already been involved in 1 or 2 heated conversations about Christmas music, and but I would like to get the Joel Michalec Show court of public opinion in an upcoming broadcast on when should Christmas songs actually hit the airwaves. And then we might have a follow-up question. In fact, I did put this question out, and I got 2 responses, both from my family. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. When should you put your Christmas tree up? So a couple of holiday-themed type of questions that we will try to gather some responses off of social media and bring them to you here on the program. So, okay. So why don't we do a little bit of Wombat of the Week? You can join in on the fun of this by submitting your Wombat of the Week story to the show. Simply email the link to a news story of stupid people doing stupid things to wombat@joelmichalec.com. Also, you can send it to joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. And you can also submit your stories in a message on the Facebook page at JM Talk. So get me those stories. This one this week is it's a whopper, and no pun intended. I mean, this is really probably one of the strangest. But I have found in doing this Wombat of the Week thing that it just gets. I don't know if I should say it just gets better all the time, or do I say it just gets worse all the time? I don't know. Whichever way you want to take it, that's what happens. So, without further ado, let me review the story of the Wombat of the Week for this week. The title is "Man Whose Penis and Testicles Were Bitten Off and Eaten by a Bulldog, quote, was alone in room with the animal and had peanut butter spread on his crotch," end quote. That is the headline of the story. I kid you not. How can you not see that headline and go, oh yeah, we got a wombat right here. Police in Scotland found the man unconscious in a pool of his own blood. He was taken to the hospital, but his organs could not be reattached. No one has been charged with any offense which relates to the incident. So there's the 3 bullet points. Here is the story for your enjoyment. A man who was induced into a coma after his genitals were savaged by an Old English bulldog was alone in a room with the animal when the incident happened. The man, who has not been named, was also alleged to have applied peanut butter or another food spread onto his crotch area before his genitals were bitten off by the animal, according to a police source. Police in East Lothian, Scotland were alerted after the 22-year-old man was found unconscious and fully clothed in a pool of his own blood in a flat in Haddington. This happened this past September. The man was believed to be alone in a room with the dog when the incident had occurred. He was taken to Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. However, his organs could not be reattached as they had been eaten by the dog. His condition later stabilized and he was transferred to the Western General Hospital, where he has since been assisting police with their inquiries. No one has been charged with any offense related to the incident. So when I look at this, I was surprised from the headline that when I read through the story the first time that the man was clothed. Because I'm just trying to think, who in their right mind is spreading peanut butter on their junk with a dog, any animal in the room? Why would you do that? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But that's what happened. And it doesn't say who found him, which is odd. There were some things that I did not. There were things that I chose to leave out of the story for the purpose of animal lovers. So you can, though, find the whole story online. In fact, the link that I'm trying to think, did I even post the last couple wombats? I will try to remember to get the link posted after the podcast hits the website. That way, you do have the full story. I mean, this is the full story, but there were just some other things that I by choice decided to leave out. But seriously, folks, please, I'm begging you to pay attention when you drive. I am begging you to pay attention when school buses are stopped. I'm asking you to love one another, and I'm asking you not to spread peanut butter on your junk and then have a dog in the room. Don't spread anything on your junk when you have an animal in a room. Anyway, I mean, there's a time and a place, I guess, sometimes in some situations where you spread stuff on your junk, but not with an animal in the room. And that is your wombat of the week. So, see, if you're new to the program, that's what I'm talking about. Stupid people doing stupid things, winds up in the news, it winds up on our wombat of the week. So send your stories in, please, to wombat@joelmichalec.com. There is that. In the books. Another wombat of the week is in the books. Okay. So, this other segment that we do each week is Honor Thy Heroes. And this is my way of honoring. To use a word I'm already using. Paying tribute to the heroes every day, first responders, that risk their lives and give their time and sometimes the ultimate sacrifice to help us. And this week, I am honoring a police officer who gave the ultimate sacrifice. And it is probably one of the most recent Honor Thy Heroes recipients that I've had, because the story is fresh this week as well. If I'm sure everybody has heard of the California bar shooting at the Borderline Bar and Grill in Thousand Oaks, California, which happened just the other day. I believe 12 or 13 people total dead. I mean, the story I have says 11, and I think the story is a tad outdated. I think it was actually 12 or 13 in the end. Another senseless mass shooting. Now this time it was an Afghanistan veteran who was said to be suffering from PTSD, and we'll talk about that. That's a different time and a different show and a different segment that we will talk about some of the problems with these mass shootings. But however, Sergeant Ron Hellis, veteran officer of the Ventura County Sheriff's Office, one of the first people rushed into the Borderline Bar and Grill to stop the shooting. And he was also caught up in a hail of bullets as soon as he went in. He went in with, there were other officers, but so he was one of those first officers charging through the door. Charging through the door. Think about that. Charging through the door. Selfless. I have to stop this problem. Imagine what goes through the mind of a police officer who does that. For you. And he died of his wounds the next day. But it's that selfless act, accompanied by other officers, that probably minimized the damage of this attack. Because what if they did not go there? What if they arrived there, as we've seen in some other mass shootings, and were told to not go in or to stage, but no. These officers decided to go in. That is what saves lives. In this instance, that saved lives. I am telling you, folks, them rushing in saved lives. And Sergeant Hellis gave his life to save lives. The ultimate sacrifice. 29 years on the job. Set to retire next year. The very least I can do is honor this hero. Is to pay tribute and to broadcast what he did. And it was a selfless act. And he did it for his community. People in his community were in trouble. He didn't stop and think about it. He didn't stage. He didn't hold back. He didn't wait. He got the call, was on a quick phone call with his wife. Honey, I have to go. And he showed up and did what he had to do. Did what he felt was the right thing to do. And so after hearing the gunshots inside the bar, he and another highway patrolman immediately threw the door. This man died a hero. And according to the sheriff, Ron was a hard-working, dedicated sheriff sergeant who was totally committed. And on this night, the sheriff said, as he told his wife, he died a hero because he went in there to save lives. So, that's why tonight on the program, and this week, we honor Sergeant Ron Hellis of the Ventura County Sheriff's Office for giving the ultimate sacrifice for his community. So thank you very much for your service. And here at the Joel Michalec Show, our thoughts and prayers are with his family in blue, all the victims and their families, and the community. And that's honor thy heroes. And it is a shame. I mean, This is just another notch in the mass shooting belt, as they would say. And there's a lot of different sides to these things. And I read a lot of people's, the public opinion courts again. I read a lot of the opinions on social media, and these are some of the posts I said earlier. I start writing responses, and then I realize that I'm probably causing myself more damage, or I'll get into some major argument with somebody, so I end up erasing the comment that I started writing, and I don't post at all. But there's a lot of different sides and a lot of different opinions about these, and you have to talk about it. I wrote about it. In fact, on the website, you can go to the blog, and I don't write a lot on the blog. I'd like to write more, but it's a time thing. But so just a couple of blogs back, I wrote a blog about one of the problems with this gun problem. To use the popular phrase, the gun problem. It's not always a gun problem, and I wrote a blog on why it's really not a gun problem in certain respects. So, and I want to address that more on a program, the mental health issue, just like this returning veteran from Afghanistan suffering PTSD. PTSD is a very nasty issue. And unfortunately, like a lot of other mental disorders these days, is not being treated the way it should. So, some things to look forward to, maybe on future shows, of just trying to discuss and have a conversation, because we have to, right? We have to have a conversation about what's going on among us. But that is that is another part of the problem. Another part of the problem is people don't want to converse. People want to say what is on their mind and not listen or consider the potential response, which makes a conversation. Because if I say, well, here's what I feel, and then you say, well, this is what I think, and I say, oh, no, I'm telling you, this is the way. That's not a conversation. That's a couple of bullies trying to talk. A conversation is coming together, having some talking points, having some ideas, suggestions, some facts, and all these things. You put all this stuff together and you have a conversation. So I'd like to have that conversation with you listening, and feedback is always welcome at joelmichalecradio@gmail.com. Feedback is always welcome. Feedback is welcome right there on the Facebook page. Post it. Be happy to entertain it. We should be able to talk about anything. That's the thing. That's the thing in this country. We should be able to talk about anything. So we will talk again next week, because right now I need to end this broadcast. I am so glad that you have listened to the show. If you like it, please share it with your friends. Send them my webpage. Let them subscribe. And if you don't see your favorite service on my subscription page, drop me a line and tell me to get busy on it, because we're still adding things, but it's a process. It really is. So I want to thank everybody for listening to the Joel Michalec Show. I want to thank Sharon for stopping by and spending some time here tonight. And remember, people, reach out on Facebook at JM Talk. I will be looking for you. Until next time, have a great week, and try to love each other, will you?